Hello, I'm Diana Kanecki of Kanecki Art and founder of DKA Strategic Planning and Kanecki Associates Incorporated. What I'd like to talk about today is I'd like to start a new dialogue. It's based on the premise of dear dear white people, but I would like to call this dear Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania people. It's not addressed to everybody, but it's addressed to some. So I'll call it Dear WMP. And for the first segment, what I would like to discuss is actually um, it's approaching 6 months since the momentous election that has occurred, and in some areas it caused a great crying, like in Evanston, which I can understand because they are a very caring community, and I'm a Everstonian as well. And I can understand it, but the other thing is I can understand is if some people in Evanston really understood what the internal dynamics were of why people who were quote millennials revolted and why people who are my age under 60 revolted is it's not because we revolted against social programs or we've become very hard edged and not caring. But it is we revolted because it was we felt that we were forgotten, and that's where Donald Trump did succeed. He hit upon the most important point that when he said, "You will never be forgotten again." I mean, I still think of that many nights, and other people do too. There are friends of mine who are basically religious conservative. They supported Tom Cruise, and also and they are and also some of them were in service. The thing is, the friends that I know, they know me before and after I transitioned, and they understood my reasons, and even the friends who were religious conservative understand it too. And that's and we still get together, we still talk. It's like, for example, a few weeks ago, Donald Trump came to Kenosha. Well, I didn't realize the one friend that I knew was there. I was actually on one side of the street, and they were on the other side of the street, and I didn't realize the street was even separated between people who support Trump and people who were against Trump. I mean, I just went on one side of the street because for me it was easier because I had a place to sit, and because I can't stand for long periods of time, so I had a place to sit on the grass, and I hope some friends who are on the other side that were protesting realize that it's not that I was nullifying or not supporting what you're saying. It's just I had to have a place where I could sit if I needed to, and the other side there was no place for me to sit, even on the grass. It was completely full. Um, but the point is, when I after this after Trump finished and I walked back to Festival Foods to catch something before catching the bus back, our friend was there, and the way everyone left is almost like a football game. Basically, we both were had different opposing views, and after the football game, we still left as friends. We still went out, celebrated, and and other things. I mean, and that's a good way to look at things. We debated, and now what happens now? We ended the debate. Now let's go back and let's meet as friends, and then we'll mull over what was said. Well, the one friend who I met, she said, "Well, if I would have heard this during the campaign, that's the Donald Trump I would have voted for." And the reason why I was happy about that was about bringing manufacturing back, bringing creativity back, making things again, reforming the H-1B law. I mean, the thing is, the reason why I'm in favor of that is because in the computer industry, the H-1B law started out as a good law, but it has been abused. There are many U.S. people in computer science who have been denied employment because basically under the H-1B law, they can hire 3 to 5 H-1B computer scientists to one American computer scientist who was raised in the United States and educated in the United States. However, it's like basically the five H-1B computer scientists that they hire have to all live together, and basically it's like a second world situation. The United States is a first world country, and there's first world quality of life and quality of life requirements that are needed to live in a first world country. Um, the other thing is about manufacturing. I mean, um, Kenosha had many manufacturers. It had Nash, AMC, Renault, Chrysler, all those, well, all one company, but over the years it as an umbrella. Eaton, American Brass, Dynamatic, Mac White Wire Lobe, um, and all these manufacturers, starting with Charles Nash, when someone worked at AMC, um, one benefit was that working with Charles Nash, they were able to have automatically get a home, to start making payments to buy a home, not an apartment, not a rooming house, a home. And the same, and later the same thing with the other five. And that's how Kenosha grew as a community, also grew as a creative and interactive community, because it wasn't the separation as other communities had between labor, the help, and the upper class. It wasn't a big chasm like this. It actually was like this: upper class, everyone else, and and the thing was, it was a shared responsibility and shared ideal. Starting with Gilbert Simmons, who had the ideal of transforming Kenosha from a frontier town into a modern city, and his vision did succeed. My grandfather's name is inscribed on the wall at the Kenosha Public Library. Um, but going on to dear WP people, although restudying class warfare is to say, well, we blue collar people know something that you creative class and millennial people don't know. Um, that's that's what caused their ivory tower attitude in the Democratic Party, where a group thought that they no longer had to listen. We we gather more by working together. It's one thing to express opinion, and I understand that there's certain cultural things that I'm not aware of because I was not raised blue collar, but also you have to understand too that there's certain cultural things that you're not aware of because I was raised creative class and upper middle class. But we both share many different things that we need to work together on now. Um, let me give you a common example. When to some of the blue collar retirees, when you were working when I was growing up, all the grocery stores were UCFW, uh, United Commercial Food Workers Union, which I was a member of as well when I worked in the food and retail for Lowndes. The thing is, at that time, Um, you know, we supported the union. We didn't cross the picket line. We also bought at stores and we expected the stores to pay a proper wage that people and a proper compensation that people didn't have to work and get badger care, as well as Title 19 while they're working full time at Walmart or other stores that are saying, well, that are doing this state thing. If someone's working full time, they should have sufficient enough compensation that they don't have to get their insurance through Badger Care, and they don't have to give food stamps or other things because they're at the margin. And when I was growing up, that was the case. Everyone was able to live at a level where they could buy a car, they could support a family, even working at a food store or working at a big box retailer like Montgomery Ward's, J.C. Penney's, and Sears. The second thing is today, some of you um, receive the blue collar union pension from the days when basically proper compensation, proper workplace rights were enforced. But yet, when um, you shop at stores that don't support proper practices, like Walmart and others, mainly because it's cheaper and but when the tables were turned and you were working, if someone said that, you'd criticize them for not being for being anti-union, not being supportive, um, and again, this is the reason why the millennials in my group revolted against the Democratic Party, because again, the hypocrisy. Um, and another photo revolt could be coming in 2018 if basically this pragmatic cleaning house doesn't work. Another pragmatic cleaning house may come with another voter revolt um, in the Senate races to come, as well as another one with maybe a second term of Donald Trump in 2020, because if the Democratic Party and Republican Party can't learn, and especially the Democratic Party, and some of the people who are over 60 can't get back to being realistic, then fine. That's if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. The thing is, we tried our best to try to explain our points of view. We sent Twittergrams, we sent did Facebook postings, we wrote letters after the Democratic convention. I don't know if any of those letters or Twittergrams were ever read. Apparently, I guess not, because the same things went on, so I guess our thoughts didn't matter. And the only way we could show was like Michael Moore had to say, we had to do the voter Molotov cocktail. And and um, and I support Michael Moore in a lot of his work. I was told that Michael Moore actually wrote part of Lodge and Me in Kenosha at one McDonald's that I go to on the south side of Kenosha. It's been remodeled now, but when I first started, someone mentioned to me that Michael Moore used to come in this, about the same time in the morning and work on lighting a few things. So, but my point, but the thing is. To some of the people in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and as well as some of the blue collar retirees, um, we need to work together. We need to, and also the other thing is, you just because you're no longer part of the workforce, and that doesn't mean that you can hide behind the social issues like some doing on Chicago Avenue, trying to hide in the condos and hoping that basically that the new generation wave will pass over them, or they can hide from the new generation, as I was called. And it's not that I'm radical or opposed or to any, but I believe we should work together. We do have many things we can share and many things we can do. Um, Really though, but the issue is we need to um, stop this looking down on people, looking to the side, hearing but not listening, um, and as well as preconceived ideas, halo reasoning, and confirmation bias. And lastly, argument by cruelty. It's one thing to be honest, it's nothing to be cruel. And just because someone says for someone not to be cruel in addressing an argument, it doesn't mean that I'm a buttercup or someone else is a buttercup, as maybe some say at the University of Chicago or other universities in Chicago. No, we're not buttercups. I mean, I did my part during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and have disability because of it, as well as other people. And when it came to do my part, I signed my selective service card. It wasn't that I didn't wish to serve or did I did I've signed my card. Also, I also understand about those who are protesting. I understand that, like one episode of Stargate, when one person was protesting, they were protesting because they didn't want to kill people because they felt that their role was not really to defend the country, but was really to kill people, and that's the thing. But the thing is, I think there needs to be an acceptance that basically with the older members of the liberal establishment that they did lose touch, and they need to really um, get accept that, and also realize that if they don't accept it, then more millennials will revolt. More of my generation will revolt, which is a generation before the liberal establishment. The late baby boomers will revolt, um, and against the early baby boomers, and um, and there'll be more need for TV series like Dear White People, as well as the segment Dear WP People. And in closing, another thing I was concerned about too is when I came back to Kenosha, there was an issue of some shelters doing forced prayer for someone to get a dinner. Um, yes, I can understand religious freedom, but religious freedom is not religious tyranny. Um, Religious freedom in the United States, as well as the five freedoms, are that one has a right to practice a faith, not practice a faith, and one cannot force someone to practice their faith either through work, um, through through society um, stature, or through social service and other things. One's faith, they can practice whatever faith they wish for themselves, but they're not allowed to force anyone else to practice their faith or even use subjective or coercive methods. And I wrote a grievance in a paper and then submitted it. And when the board member did find out, she did act quickly and stop it. But what I did for a few days, I came in later to protest because I didn't want to come in, and I actually started eating out rather than eating at the shelter because I didn't want to support that type of policy. Um, the thing is, yes, some may say that some groups have gone too far in not endorsing faith and not something else. Okay. But also some faith groups have gone too far in enforcing people to pray as well, or forcing people to their faith. Um, Help, if one really believes in faith and one really believes in goodness, one helps because they want to help. One does not help to convert or forcibly convert. When help is disguised as forced conversion, that is not help, and um, that's the reason why I'm concerned about forced prayer, because that's a step towards forced conversion, and um, and that's also why I have some issues with faith-based initiatives, because um, what is there a hidden agenda behind it is to force conversion or other types of forced activities. Um, like one hospital I go to, the reason I go to is because it practices Catholic principles. Not, but the way it practices Catholic principles um, by emphasizing Jesuit-based principles of scholarly education. The other thing about the hospital I go to, is they don't say that they're a religious hospital. They say they're a hospital that practices Catholic principles. There's a difference. A religious hospital, the first focus is on religion. Professionalism and professional practice is second. A hospital that practices Catholic principles, professionalism is first, and the Catholic principles are second, which is what I prefer. I'd rather deal with the professional first, and then have know that they do understand Catholic principles, because professionals are supposed to be sacrosanct, um, non non-judgmental, and also confidential when you do share confidential information. Um, in that. Um, so let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at Diana1A, and also on YouTube at the Diana K channel. I prefer to receive comments by Twitter. And in the future, I'll be giving an update on the K Simple operating system.